And the topic of my sermon is purity of mind and how we
Oh
have
my
it.
gosh.
The title of my sermon is called Shipwrecked. And I ask everybody to close your eyes with me as I pray. Dear God, please be with me with my sermon. Amen. December 2008. It was about 100 miles off the coast of Panama. And we were actually going on my family. We went with my friends and their family, and we left Panama to go to an island called Toboga that we would go to about every other week. And we took a ferry. With the ferry, it was actually 150 people was the maximum capacity, and we had 225 people on the ship. But so we're 75 people over, but it's Panama, so we don't really follow everything to the point. So we got there, and we had fun. We ate and we went to the beach. And I noticed that the captain of the ferry, I saw him on the beach, and he actually, he was drunk and he was with his women, But I didn't really think much of it. I put it to the back of my head because this is the captain, and maybe just a way of, celebrating. So I'm not really gonna say nothing about that. So usually we would actually stay overnight, but this one time we decided that we would actually end up only going for the day. And so by 6 o'clock, it was time to go back. The clouds were actually coming over, and it got dark like about an hour quicker than it usually did. But nobody really thought anything of it, again, of course, because about every day at around 6 o'clock in the evening, that's when it started to rain. So that was normal, it's protocol. By the time we got on the boat, we actually were about 5 minutes off the coast of the island when we started to hear thunder, and then that was followed by lightning, and it started to drizzle. The drizzling was only, like covering the surface of the boat, and drizzling was only covering the surface of the boat, and so it wasn't really nothing much. So of course we didn't really think much of it again. But then it started to rain. The rain got to like a constant downpour. And even though it rained every day, it was like more of a downpour than it usually was. And you gotta remember that on top of that, we're still out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. So eventually what happens was there was an engine on the ship that was actually not working. So they had to actually dig a hole inside of the ship and pull the engine out and actually put it to the side on top of the surface of the boat. And so that side of the ship was the side of the ship that was actually getting weighed down more. So if you think about it, as the water's coming in, the ship's falling down like that. So after a while, the heavy downpour got heavier and heavier, and we had a bunch of guys with buckets. They were shoveling out the water with the buckets, and they got to the point where we realized that it was no avail because the water coming in was actually coming in faster than the water that we were getting out. So at this point, we got the babies crying, we got the girls screaming, the husbands are, they're comforting their wives, but it's no avail because the water's still coming in quick. We realized that there was actually nothing we could do about that, so we decided to just get rid of all the guys and move them to the left side of the boat. So now we're on the second floor of the boat, and we're looking down at the other side of the boat that's actually partially submerged under the water. Now, if you think about it, the captain hasn't sobered up yet. We don't have a radio on the boat. We're in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. It's still pouring, and it's pitch black. So at this point, the thought of death has never actually creeped in my mind. So everything around me never actually fazed me. So I was pretty calm throughout the entire situation, even though my own family was crying, my friend was crying, his own family was crying. So, nonetheless, we sit there, and finally someone comes up with the idea that they actually find some firecrackers, and we actually lit off the firecrackers one by one, and eventually we saw a few miles off the ship we saw a cargo ship coming by, and that's when we all started screaming. Everyone was screaming for their lives because it's our lives on the line. So everyone screaming at the top of their lungs, and after about half an hour, we got the attention of the cargo ship. And because it's a cargo ship, and we're on a 175 passenger, 150 passenger ferry, it couldn't actually get right next to us. So if you can think about it, it kind of lined itself up about like 6 feet between the ferry and between the ferry and the cargo ship. So we had 2 people on the ferry, and and then 2 guys on the cargo ship. So what you had to do was you had to jump over, and you had to hope and you had to trust that they would actually catch you. You jumped over. So one by one, through 225 people, we ended up, jumping to the other side, to the other side, to the other side, and so on and so forth. When the last person got over, everybody started crying because everybody left all their stuff on the boat, their money, everything that they had. And we actually looked back over at the ferry that we just finished jumping off of, and it was completely submerged under the water. So, at the time, it didn't really faze me what had happened, but looking back at it, I see how much of God's grace was actually in our lives that came through that day. Had our minds not been changed to view the urgency of the situation, had we not shifted our focus from our original endeavors, I would not be alive today. So for those of you guys who have your Bibles, turn with me to Acts 9, 1 through 8. Alright, so it says, and Saul, yet breathing out, threatening and slaughter against the disciples of the Lord, went unto the high priest, and desired of him letters to Damascus of the synagogues, that if he found in any way, whether they were men or women, that he might bring them bound unto Jerusalem. As he journeyed, he came near Damascus, and suddenly there shined around him a light from heaven. And he fell to the earth and heard a voice saying unto him, Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me? And he said, Who are you, Lord? And the Lord said, I am Jesus who you persecute. It is hard for you to persecute against the pricks. And he trembled and astonished, saying, Lord, what do you want me to do? And the Lord said to him, Get up and go to the city and do what you're told to do. And the men that journeyed with him actually stood speechless, even though they heard the voice, but they didn't see what was actually going on. Saul got up from the earth, and when his eyes were opened, he saw no man, but they led him by the hand and brought him into Damascus. The ferry that I was on could actually be considered as my old lifestyle and, let's say, a sinful lifestyle. The cargo ship that came by can be related to as a new lifestyle or God's lifestyle. The rain would be considered as what brought about the cleansing in our bodies. And you could almost say that the drunk captain is Satan, leading us toward death. We made the decision to leave our sinking ship to make the transition to the new one. In that same way, should we immediately leave our sinful lifestyle before it's too late and choose to take the offer that Christ has given us? Just as we couldn't save ourselves, we can't change our mind by ourselves from corruption straight into purity. But we need God's help for that. But God can't do that without our consent. Before the cargo ship actually came to get us, we had to signal it. And in that same way, should we signal God that we're trying to change? When he does come, we have to initiate the change. I would never have made the ferry, I would never have actually made it from the ferry to the cargo ship if I didn't make the decision to actually jump over. Now, turn with me to Isaiah 55, 6-9. And you see that it says, alright. Isaiah 55, 6-9 says, Seek ye the Lord while he may be found, and call upon him when he's near. Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts. And let him return unto the Lord, and he will have mercy upon him, and to our God, for he will abundantly pardon us. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, said the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts are higher than your thoughts. I know that, I don't know if you guys know me, but I have a problem with like cursing. I curse a lot. And, over the next few weeks, I intend to cut down on that as much as I can. And, I hope that you guys will take that stand with me. So in the end, the decision is up to you. On this day, this hour, who will you choose?